Hello and welcome. Let's start today's session with 5 deep cleansing breaths. You can go at your own pace, but let's breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Here we go. Fill the belly up. Now this session is going to focus on hip health, spine health, and knee health. So what I'd like you to do is you're going to put your feet together and then hinge over slightly. Put your hands on your knees just like this. I'll turn a little bit so you can see me a little better. And all I want you to do is very simple knee rolls counterclockwise. We're going to go for 10 at your own pace. I know it's kind of silly, but trust me, we have to be kind to our knees because when they're gone, and we'll miss them. So that's about 8, 9, and 10. Then we're going to circle clockwise, 2, 3, and 10 is just the number I'm putting on it. If you feel the need to do more than 10 or less than 10, that's fine. I would suggest at least 10. Okay? So once we've got our 10, then we're going to come up, upright position, hands on the hips. Once again, one of those things that seems a little silly, but we got to go through it because the hips we got to keep healthy also. Okay, so we're going 10 clockwise. Feel the weight shift from one corner of the foot over to the opposite corner, to the opposite foot, and back around again. So one of those things, yes, it's simple. Yes, it's a little silly, but when you're out living, when you're out performing, when you're out playing, maybe you're keeping up with your kids, maybe you're playing sports, opposite direction, you want your body to feel as good as possible. And you're only as good as you can recover, right? Many people overlook the simple stuff because, I don't know, I guess it's beneath them. But all it takes is one injury for us to start taking things seriously again. Okay, that's about 10, maybe a little bit more. The next, we're going to go into a spinal flexion and extension. So we're going to go into big inhale and flex that spine. I'll turn sideways so you can see the flexion in my spine. And then inhale into extension, squeezing everything. That's 1. Exhale, flexion. Inhale, extension. And you can breathe through your nose or your mouth, whichever you'd like. Nose is going to give you a little more control over the parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest and digest. Right now we're increasing sympathetic tone of our nervous system, bringing things online. 2 more after this one. And I'm also flexing in order to send blood to the extremities, letting the body know that we're about to go through some movements where we'll need it to work for us. Okay, shake those hands out. Now, we're going to do a very simple hip flexor stretch. So you're going to take your left foot. I want you to step it back. You can turn that foot out to the side just a tad if you'd like. And from here, what we're going to do is big breath in. I like to move with the breaths. Find that rhythm, right? Big breath in, squeeze glutes, and scoop the hip flexor. And we're going to hold that for a 5, 4, 3. Continue to breathe. 2, 1, and relax it. You can see it's a very subtle motion, but there's a lot happening at this hip flexor. Big breath in and scoop for 5, 4. I've got a nice long line of tension here in my hip flexor. 2, 1. If that's not enough for you, I invite you to slide that foot back just a little bit, okay? So big breath in. My tailbone is back into an anterior pelvic tilt, and I'm going to turn everything on and scoop into more of a neutral position here. And I'm firing up my trunk. I'm firing up my hip flexors, and we've just got a nice, active, dynamic stretch in this hip flexor area here. And 3, 2, 1. We've got 2 more on this side, okay? Big inhale, cleansing breath. Reset that breath. If you need to reset your kind of station here, that's fine too. And exhale. And one of the things that's really important about taking care of your hip flexors is when you sit down, which we all do way too much, and release these hip flexors. Big breath in, and these hip flexors tend to shorten up and they stay in a shortened position. And we're breathing, and the hip flexors attach to what's called the psoas, the iliopsoas, and that comes through your back into the spine and can start pulling on your back and create unnecessary back pain from seemingly nothing, right? So we might as well take care of our hip flexors. Okay, and gentle release. And let's step forward back to our neutral position. Then we're going to step back gently on that left side. We're doing the same thing, just giving a little love. I'm sorry, on the right side. Doing the same thing, we're just giving a little more love to the right side, okay? So find a position that works for you, and we're going to find our breath and scoop. I like to put a hand back here on my glutes. Just lets me know that they're engaged. A little tactile feedback is always good to know from your body. And 3, 2, 1, and reset. Big breath in and scoop forward. Continue to breathe. I'm going to get a little more tension here in my hip flexor, a little more stretch from my hip flexor by putting my right foot back a little farther, because that's what I'm feeling that I need right now. And I'm just going to keep breathing. 3, 2, 1, and then I'm going to release that stretch. And then here comes our third of 5. Good stuff. If you want to add a little more kind of flair to this, you're more than welcome to reach up to the sky. That's going to add some length up to the lat complex. But as long as you can really focus on this hip flexor complex, that's really the meat and potatoes of what we're after right here. And let's reset one more time. And exhale all that tension out of your hip flexor. Let it go. It's not doing you any good. You want to be able to use your body when you want, how you want, not the other way around. Don't limit yourself by injuries or little pain points. Fix them. Let's find out how to fix them so that you can optimize yourself. Okay? And 3, 2, 1, and relax. Let's step up forward again. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our arms, and I want you to drop your hips down, and we're going to scoop forward and squat. Hold for 2, 1, and up. I'm going to move my microphone over here. My tummy's blocking the feet a little bit there. So when you're doing this, and I suggest doing it barefoot or with minimal shoes so you can really connect with the ground. When you're doing this, I want you to really dig in with all 10 toes. Think of velociraptors when they're walking, like in Jurassic Park. 3, 2, 1, and stand it up. Nice tall spine. There's a term I like, and I use it with all of my clients that I work with. Is called raptor feet. And I want you to think of actively gripping into the ground. So when you hear me say raptor feet, that's what I'm talking about, okay? So boom, boom, spread those toes, grip into the ground, big inhale, nice tall spine, load those heels, and we're just holding the squat here. Nothing to it, right? 3, 2, 1, and then drive right back up, pushing the ground away, feeling that energy come up from the earth to power you up through your movements and on into your day. Okay, rep number 3, here we go. Big inhale. We're going to be here for 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. And push that ground away. Very nice. And here we go. Let's do 2 more reps. We're feeling pretty good now. So big inhale, reach forward, and just hold that squat. Push those knees apart so those glutes can come online and stabilize those hips. If you have weak hips, that is a beginning of a cascade of issues to come. 3, 2, 1, and up. So we want to make sure that we move with purpose and we move efficiently. Last squat. Here we go. Got some waves coming in. Let's take some of that energy and 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. Beautiful. And from here, let's bring our feet down to the ground, hands down to the ground, and we're going to step back into a high plank. From this position, let's just kind of paw the ground, see how we're feeling. All four corners of the left hand digging into the ground. All four corners of the right hand digging into the ground. We're going to go to a downward facing dog. Hips go high, heels go low. And I want you to try to turn these biceps out, away from your ears, creating space between your shoulder blades and your ears. Shake your head no. Nod your head yes. And if you need to kind of paw the ground and reset, that's fine. I'm on sand, so it's pretty uneven surface. And we're just going to breathe. Push that ground away. Push your nose towards your toes. Turn the biceps out. Heels towards the ground. And great job. Let's come back to that high plank. We want to make sure our ears, shoulders, hips, knees, and toes are all in a nice line. We don't want to be sagging too much. We don't want our hips too high. We're going to go into a pigeon pose. So what I'd like you to do is you're just going to simply draw your left knee up and underneath your body and just sit right down onto your hips, okay? And all you're going to do is, some people like to collapse like this. That's okay. What I'd like you to try is I want you to actively push your body down and back into the earth, okay? So if you have if you're a cowboy and you've got 6 shooters on your hips here, you're still pointing your guns down, right? Those are the blades of the ilium, which are the hip bones. And we're just making sure you don't want to roll out to the side like this, because then you lose all the tension in this hip. So we're just breathing here, being nice and patient. Letting the weight of our body do the work for us. Three more big breaths. Maybe you're outside, maybe you're inside, wherever you are, be present with what you're doing. Thank your body for the ability to be able to do this. And when you take care of your body like this, take care of your mind like this, the possibilities for what you can achieve are absolutely endless. So it's something I like to think about when I'm going through movements like this, making the time to do it. And it's not much time, 1,440 minutes in every single day. And we're spending about 10 here. So the trade-off is, pays off dividends. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna lift through the heart, through the hips. We're gonna push the ground away, come back to our plank, our high plank. Even here, we can externally rotate, wrapping our arms, and we back to our downward facing dog. Let's get a few big breaths here. Let's call it 3 big breaths before we go to pigeon on the other side. And you might find that you can get a little bit deeper into this downward dog than your first downward dog. And that's your body doing what you want it to do. You just have to practice with it. One more big breath. Really start pushing the limits of that downward facing dog. Okay, here we go. Back to our plank. I'm going to draw my right knee up under my body and then place that shin down, and I'm loading my hips. And another thing to think about here is, as you sit down with your hips, with your pistols pointing down, your your pigeon pose, it doesn't need to look like my pigeon pose. As long as you're trying your best to load your body, to keep the stretch on and engaged, then that's fine. That's all I ask of you, and that's all you should expect from yourself. Just getting a little bit better each time you practice this is all that we need, okay? That's the path towards optimization. So let's continue to breathe through this. We'll take, let's say 4 big breaths, okay? And then we'll wrap up, because I know you got stuff you want to get to. All right, here we go. So I'm going to untuck my toe in the back. I'm going to push myself a little bit farther back. Another thing you might find is that there are imbalances in your hips. My right hip is tighter than my left hip. You know what, friends? That's part of the human condition. That's part of being human. There are asymmetries, and that's okay. You know, we work through them and we work our best to balance them out. One more big breath. Perfect. Okay, we're going to lift through the hips and the heart again. Here we go. To our high plank. This time, what we're going to do is I'm going to separate my feet. I'm going to push my body back. I'm going to bend my knees, keeping them nice and low. And I'm going to come into this nice squat. Okay, if your squat doesn't look like mine, that's okay. Right? You just make it look like yours. Keep those heels loaded. We're going to push that ground away. Brush off whatever you need to brush off. And we'll wrap up with 10 cleansing breaths. So join me if you'd like. In through the nose, out through the nose. Feel free to close your eyes too if that is what serves you best. Relax your face, relax your shoulders. Thank your body for working for you. One more big breath. Excellent work. Now, if you want to go through this one time again, 2 times again, please feel free to start this over and spend as much time with this if you'd like. You really can't overstretch yourself. There's no such thing as feeling too good. So whatever you feel serves you best, please continue on your own journey. And thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.